What surprised you the most about sex when you lost your virginity? My first time was much easier than I've been told, and less pleasurable than I thought it would be. There's always jokes that guys only last 30 seconds the first time, so I was very surprised to see myself last about 45 seconds. The sounds that happen, like the mac and cheese kind of noises among others, I didn't know that was a thing and I didn't expect to like them so much. I couldn't get my goddamn wiener in. I'm not saying I'm some giant penile dude. She was nervous about much foreplay and we were using condoms. I had like 3 first times because we had a few non-starts. In hindsight, more foreplay and maybe some lube would have been invaluable. Foreplay is 90% of the fun. Yeah, you can boo me all you want, but sex becomes tiresome and repetitive after the nth thrust. You are surprised at how oftentimes your mind drifts and you start thinking about unrelated stuff whilst balls deep, as some would put it. This feels nice. I wonder what I'm gonna make for dinner later. Perhaps I should get some pizza? Positive. Sex is fun and feels good. Negative. Urinary tract infections. How much it hurts if you don't know what you're doing. Nothing changed about me, though I felt super guilty afterwards. Kinda like how on your birthday, you're a year older, but you don't feel any different. Maybe TMI, but the thing that surprised me the most was that after the guy finishes in you, it drips back out of you afterwards. I had never thought about it before, or the cleanup needed. That my body didn't move the way I wanted it to. Also that I should probably work out more. I didn't know I was losing 60% of my critical thinking and reasoning skills through my penis. But as soon as it left, it never came back. First was how fast, hard the girl wanted me to do it. She was more experienced, but my impression was that it should be slow and delicate and then ramp up. That was not the case, however. She wanted it like bang 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 right away, and then I didn't come because I was pretty nervous. I found out through more experience that being nervous and not coming was common for me with new or casual partners. But I have no issue completing the task once I'm more comfortable being intimate with the person. How wet everything is. When the girl's cat started nibbling at my toes, I didn't know she had one, so it freaked me the frock out. How far down the angina was. How awesome the hugging part of it is. How the guy being nervous can affect almost everything. And the second time is normally much better when everyone is relaxed. Definitely overhyped and felt like a ton of pressure and pain. That my roommate would be walking in. I thought I'd be better at. Ended up looking like a dead fish. Well, we ended up alone and horizontal with this girl, and I was very nervous about doing the right thing. Starting with just sticking it the right place. No questions asked. She took my schlong in her hand and guided it straight where it belonged. I was like, wow, you can do that. Never saw anyone do it in porn. That act of cooperation is something I remember most vividly from that day. That it didn't hurt and wasn't awkward. I'd heard so much about how terrible the first time would be that I was surprised that it wasn't. How soft mattresses are awesome for sleep but exhausting for sex. I always thought a girl was meant to bleed after the first time. But I never did, and it shocked me. I just kept waiting for it to happen. How much it was possible for me to nut. On me. On her. On the bed. On the floor. On the wall. How sweaty I would get. Kissing is actually better than I expected. Also, the smells are not something I expected. The smell. It wasn't terrible. Not great either. Didn't hurt as much as I thought it would do. I remember thinking afterwards how overrated it was. It's something that definitely gets better the more you do it. The angina was not as tight as my hand, but a lot warmer. Also, it was lower than I thought it would be and tasted a lot better than I figured an orifice in a dark, sweaty area would. How warm it was. I mean, it makes sense, of course, but I was still surprised. The penis spends most of its time outside a body and shedding heat. To suddenly be put into a 37-degree environment and insulated there caught me off guard. Edit. OMG people. Celsius obviously. I had to move my girlfriend's legs up so I could get in. For some reason, I thought her legs could just be flat on the bed. Also, how much closer it can bring you with someone you love. I thought that we were pretty close beforehand. But afterwards it was like we knew each other on a deeper level. Every look, touch, and kiss was suddenly just much more meaningful. And not just in a sexual way. Beforehand I had heard a lot about men coming too quick. Afterhand I was pretty disappointed since I didn't come once or even enjoy it really. Edit. Thanks for all the awards, kind strangers, and also for the supportive comments. Now I don't feel alone with my issue, and also I got to change my mindset. The mess. I bled a lot and threw the sheets into the mattress. The duvet cover. Pillowcases. Fitted sheets. All total carnage. Sweat. Body liquids. Blood. Everything. It's good the weather was nice the next day. I still have a photo of everything drying in the garden like a hang of shame. I started keeping towels, water and wet wipes next to the bed every time I would have sex again. It was a whole procedure. I don't have one now lol. Also, how much I like the feeling of another person orgasming. I like my own, but I like the other better. To the point of if I come and then my partner comes seconds later I come again. The sounds, the feeling, the little shakes, the way you just know. So good. The large amount of sounds that can be produced by the human body. The warmth and the bumps inside the angina. Literally thought it was the greatest thing ever. Still do. How frockin' physically demanding it was lol. How much I'm out of shape. After about 4 pumps in I was looking for an inhaler. Edit. Holy crap, thank you so much everybody for the likes and rewards. You guys are the best. How much is about the foreplay? Yes, I am a woman. That you can come under 1 minute. If I didn't like the person all that much it wasn't good. I thought it was all physical but most of it is mental around if you want to be with that person. Edit. Change some of the wording. That a penis can actually be that large? Just by the roll of the dice my first is still the biggest I've ever seen by far so I guess you can say that was really surprising. I didn't realize people could move their digs. If that makes sense. Like, there's muscles in there? I don't watch porno or anything, although I am not against it. Maybe I should get into it. Study up for next time. Also, I have a mild tic disorder. Somehow, I didn't realize having sex would activate my tics. So yeah, that surprised both of us. I thought it would change me. Like immediately after I'd walk outside and everyone would just know I was now a man. I walked outside and no one gave a damn. Shower 6 is not sexy or practical. The entrance to the angina was not where I thought it would be. I'm Japanese so, how pixelated our 6 was. That I literally looked at myself in the mirror while smacking from behind because I couldn't believe this was happening. Literal Patrick Bateman moment. How much I like foreplay and how many guys don't like foreplay. Also big dig does not mean good sex. It can actually be very very painful. I didn't realize how much I'd bleed when I lost my virginity. Thought I needed to go to a hospital. Well first off, just the fact I was having sex was very surprising to me. Nerves being able to turn your dig smooth off no matter how much you want to get it in. The hotel room smelled like smoked ham. 1. How messy it was. 2. How ordinary it was. I mean, it's fun. But so are roller coasters. It's just one of those things that people hype up so much that it gets to your head. It's just this thing people do. How terrified I was afterwards. All I could think was, please don't let her be pregnant. We used protection but what if it failed? And how much shame I felt. I knew that I shouldn't have. Not because it was a sin or wrong, but because I was so terrified it probably meant it was a bad risk to take. Every time after that was the same. Shame that I let my hormones get the best of me. I knew my wife was the woman I wanted to marry because that didn't happen. It felt right. In retrospect, how much your feelings for a person affects the sexual experience. I thought I was going to be so attached and in love with this guy. I watched many of my friends go through that. But I couldn't get away from mine fast enough. Definitely the beginning of the end for us. Are we supposed to shake like this? That being a virgin really wasn't that big of a deal. It's not like your whole life changes after having sex. You're just probably a little more confident for a day or two and that's that. Big whoop lol. That coochie almost feels hot in an awesome way. This is the horniest sub on Reddit. That's it? I thought I had done something wrong cause I thought it would have felt more magical. The climax felt pretty much the same as jerking off. It also took much longer than I would have thought considering all the jokes I've heard. Turns out I'm not a Minuteman. Mr. Experienced. Couldn't even get it in the first few times and it was like having sex with a sack of potatoes. How long I ended up lasting. And I'm a dude. Everyone told me I'd bust in like 30 seconds or less my first time but I went for almost an hour just because I was so nervous. It didn't feel as good as everyone made it out to be and I wasn't impressed. It was mostly just uncomfortable the first few times. Then I did it again. And again and again and eventually it started to be pleasurable. That as a female, it didn't hurt once the cherry popped. Like everyone scared me into thinking. Pleasure. Slight pressure. Then pleasure again. I learned to appreciate nice sheets. Liking the person you're with matters a lot. My first thought afterwards was that this was overhyped. How expensive it is. That I didn't feel him enter me or inside me at all. I was turned on and prepped. Just in shock that it was actually happening. Poor dude was pretty well endowed. So I'm sure he was aghast at hearing. Are you in yet? After 5 minutes of PIV action. I'm cringing just thinking about it. How good doggy style feels. It was better than I thought. Still today it's my endgame. I tell my GF, if you're done, bring that ass up and it'll be over soon. How easy it was to slip out, since we were both moving. We had to get a feel for each other's rhythms. It felt nothing like masturbating and at first felt so different that I didn't think I'd come, but I did. Also it's hard work lol. Warm. How hard it was to get the rhythm of things. How absolutely boring it is. A few months later, I found out it wasn't actually boring at all. My partner at the time was. As a guy nothing at all changed. All those years of my buddies talking about sex, dreaming about it, I laugh just thinking about it now. Very anticlimactic. I didn't change. She didn't change. Whoever she was. The world didn't change. The anticlimactic nature of it. No pun intended. Of course, we were both virgins and had little idea of what we were doing. It got better, but I remember thinking, this is IT? Redditors of Reddit. Do you six? What happens when you six? When you six, what happens? So slippery. I literally said, wait, that was it? I was very disappointed. I was a virgin and he was more experienced. How much orgasms hurt? I'm a guy and I had a retrograde ejaculation. It burned every time I peed for 2 weeks. I thought it was an STD. How completely awkward it was. Condom was too small. Yeah, I know. And her privates had a foul smell. Since I couldn't maintain an erection, she suggested IF*CK her in the ass. First time out. Didn't. I still remember the song that was playing though. How wet and warm a angina is. That I was actually having sex with someone else. How cuddling after sex feels better than the actual act of sex. That I lost nothing. The fact that the Ghostbusters DVD menu makes the perfect sexual cadence. The very, very vast difference in enjoyment between having sex with someone who likes sex compared to someone who needs sex.